I'll go do some cardio. Unfortunately, I have to do cardio. I've been slacking on my cardiovascular health. My poor little heart. Wake up first thing in the morning, feed it 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Hell yeah. I played hockey the other day for the first time since last winter, and I was seeing basically the pearly gates. I couldn't fucking breathe.
Yeah, it's always fun when you think that you've done some things to get back in good shape, and then you're hit with something that actually requires you to be in really good shape. Like walking up a hill.
I've been terrible lately.
You ever walked up a hill?
I try to avoid it. If I know, thing about me, if I know there's a hill in the way, I'm Ubering.
Well, it's fun because Google Maps will be like, oh, your route to this location is mostly flat. And then you get to the part that's not mostly flat, and it's just Mount Everest.
Apple Maps also like greatly underestimates walking speed.
Yeah, they do.
45-minute walk. And I'm like, I did that shit in 20 minutes.
Fucking walking like, I was going to make a reference that only people we went to middle school with.
Yeah, the kid in the hallways who was sprinting the class. I think everybody had one of those kids.
I can't for the life of me. Can you remember his name?
There was multiple.
But it was the one with the glasses.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, skinny. He always had his backpack. He had a big backpack, dude. He kept his whole entire life in that bag. Motherfucker had like the mask. He would pull out a bazooka, Chinese checkers board. He had everything. And also, remember Dr. Smith?
What a stupid thing. Yeah, Dr. Smith. What an asshole.
Dr. Smith used to be booking it.
But yeah, remember when that became cool? Like no more backpacks, like the most convenient thing.
Yeah. Carry all your books unless you're a loser.
That's how stupid we were. It's like, oh man, I can't have this most convenient thing I need for all my books. So I can't wear it because I might get made fun of.
Well, that was funny when 21 Jump Street, they go back to high school and he's like, you got to one strap it. And everybody's two strapping. And he's just so thrown off. God, I love Channing Tatum.
Yeah. You were cool in that era. You couldn't be cool today. Game's different.
Yeah. That like if Teddy went back to school today, oh my God, he'd be such a loser.
I feel like I got lucky because like I was just in elementary and middle school with like the group of friends. Like if any other hand I was dealt, I would have no friends. I kind of just lucked into like a good crowd. Where like if I moved to a new school in 8th grade, I would just be a fucking dweeb.
Yeah, some guys just have all the luck. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Ruben, formerly known as Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review the first 2 episodes of The Penguin on HBO and also on Max. This is a spinoff of the Batman movie that was released 2 years ago, directed by Matt Reeves. He is an executive producer on this show, but it was developed and it is ran by Lauren LaFranc, starring Colin Farrell, obviously returning as the Penguin. And before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts, not just on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. And also check out our Patreon page. For $2 a month, you get 3 extra podcasts, and for $5 a month, you get 5 extras. Recently, we've dropped some fan question podcasts. We also dropped our review of Richard Linklater's The Before trilogy. So if there are any cinephiles out there, any hopeless romantics, you can go and give that a listen. And also Aaron's first solo podcast, which I think went pretty well. Don't get any ideas, though. Don't try to push me out now.
No, I would never. Already working behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't sound very reassuring.
No. Couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, that's why I like Teddy, because I knew he couldn't do it without me. For guarantee.
You literally couldn't set up a microphone without you.
Speaking of the devil, I just got a TikTok from him. Can't see what the TikTok is, but he said, I can't wait for your birthday. Oh my God. Looks like I got something in store for me after this recording. For some reason, Teddy only sends me TikToks through text, but everything else comes through Instagram.
My idea for my next birthday is I want to do Tourist Day. Like, it's never going to happen because I can't get a
tour Long Island?
No, like go like all the touristy shit that people go to New York for, but like we never do. I want to ride like the red bus. I want to maybe get like an I Love New York shirt. You know, experience New York as an outsider.
Go to Dykeman.
Tourist Day. All that shit.
Go ball up at Rucker Park. I remember one time Nash, unironically, was like, "We should just go to Rucker." It's like, Nash, who do you think you are? It's like, well, me, you, and Stu.
That's a 3. You guys can run it. I wrote a 10-minute stand-up set just to have. That I'm just never gonna like perform, but like if I'm ever at like an opportunity at an open mic when I'm like drunk, I have something, so that's fun.
Oh, I would like to see that, dude. Make sure somebody's recording, because either way, it's legendary. You kill it, Now it lives forever. You bomb, that's hilarious.
Yeah. The problem is, I think it's like actually pretty good, but I know it's not. So it's good. Like me thinking that it's pretty good because no one's good. Like no one writes just like their first good stand up set. But in my head, I think like I would fucking crush. That's how I know it's going to be fucking terrible.
No, you got to have that Rupert Pupkin type of confidence, where even if it's just okay, he was selling it.
There's tons of great comics out there that like I wouldn't say are necessarily funny or like maybe their punchlines aren't good or like too in depth, but like just their stage presence brings them up so high where it's very entertaining to watch and you're having fun just watching them have fun.
Yeah, I think of Robin Williams, where he was funny, but it was also the performance.
Yeah. Because in my head, I was like going through it and like how I would come off on stage. And I feel like that would work. But I know how I would act on stage in front of people, and I just wouldn't have the stage presence that in my head I would have.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, but yeah, just in case I ever need a tight 10-minute stand up set, I have one in my notes app.
You never know when somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, get up, it's open mic, get on stage."
Well, I want to do that at karaoke one day and like just bomb on purpose, or like if there's ever a microphone at somewhere and just go up and just start doing stand-up comedy.
I remember I got forced into karaoke and everybody was like, "Yo, you were kind of good," and I was just like, "Oh, thanks. I did build me up Buttercup." All right, let's get into some of the Penguin. We've already got the first 2 episodes. Episode 3 is coming up. A little weird release schedule where episode 1 was September 19th, which was a Friday, and then they went and moved it to Sundays moving forward. So I think that caught me off guard because Thursday night, the following week after episode 1, I thought, oh, awesome. Tonight we're going to get some new Penguin. And then we didn't. They were like, no, it's coming back on Sunday. But overall, for the first 2 episodes, I thought they were good. A lot of people have been making the comparison to The Sopranos, and it's pretty obvious the Penguin reminds people of the main character, Tony Soprano. But I think they've done a really good job of blending the realism with the comic book elements. I know they made some changes, like they shortened his name from Cobblepot to Cobb. But in the midst of episode 2, I thought to myself, man, this may be the best example of bringing Batman to real life while also keeping a lot of the silliness that we love from comic books. You know, the way that they refer to him as Penguin. And, you know, it's very obvious the way he's walking and the way that he looks. But it feels very natural. Like somebody in the mob would get that nickname. They wouldn't like it because it's a bit derogatory, but eventually learn to embrace it. And, you know, the performance, Colin Farrell, he was great in The Batman. Arguably, I rewatched it. I think he might be the best part of that movie for me. He's just having so much fun in the role. And it's so convincing, the makeup, not only just the acting, but the look of the character. And I think, you know, he slips right back into that role. And he continues to be a great antagonist while also being the protagonist of his story because he's very charming. And the relationship he has with Vic, I like the way that it's played out so far. The way that they set it up felt very natural. But he's also a guy capable of a lot of evil deeds. He's willing to cross that line to gain power. He can be ruthless and at times terrifying. And also, one last point, I like that they made him smart. He's not this bumbling guy that is constantly resorting to violence or the most extreme method to get his way. But he's clever. He understands how to play different personalities and how to play multiple sides all at once. And I think the way that they've written his character within the story has been really smart. So overall, I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I think episode 2 was a bit stronger than episode 1. And also to shout out Kristen Milioti, who's been maybe the biggest standout so far, because she's also, you know, there's a lot of mystery with that character, which I love. And I think that actress, you know, she's been good in other stuff, but so far she's been a character you can't keep your eyes off of.
Well, yeah, it's fun to see character or actors that, you know, from like elsewhere kind of make a presence in like a show that's pretty popular now. Like obviously the Penguin building off the hype from the Batman and getting an HBO release for the series. But I mean, like from when I first noticed her was How I Met Your Mother, her being the mother, to here, 2 completely different roles, but absolutely crushing it right away. And then her brother is the ex-husband in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So it's I don't know. I like that when
Oh,
it's
Albie.
not always the people you expect to see in some of these roles, but are coming right in and killing it off the bat. But yeah, I like how you mentioned the blend between obviously like the Sopranos comparisons are going to be made, HBO show focused around a mob, but it is still like goofy and over the top, especially when it comes to like the character of the Penguin. He's just your very prototypical like Italian gangster, like how you would picture. Like he would fit right in with like Tony and the gang, but also brings that kind of comic booky wackiness, and it blends it perfectly because it could clash if not done right. And he is so good in the role. He is probably one of the more, I don't know if he's underrated. I think he's a big name, but I think sometimes some actors fall into like the point where their name is more like respectable than what people think of their acting ability. But he's just been so good for so long. And to see him in this type of role, it looks like he's just having the most fun ever in a way where it's like, it shouldn't be this much fun to probably go in to shoot for 9 hours and have to put all that makeup on. It's probably I don't know how they do that. Like when they show like the compilations or the time lapses of them putting up the makeup and sitting there and you hear the story. It's like 7 hours every day to start your day and go through all that and still bring so much life and look like you're having the time of your life while playing this character. Just the vibe off the bat. Like we were both big fans of the Batman, and kind of capturing that essence of Gotham, which I think Matt Reeves did such a good job of and translating it into the series where it does fit so well. And miniseries accompanying these big superhero shows, I mean, Marvel has done it, but I think this is the way to do it. I think because it really just builds not only the character of the Penguin, but just like we kind of talked about with the Batman review, that Gotham almost felt like a character. And I think you're getting so much life, and the idea of what this place is and the vibe of the city resonates through the show and creates just this own little universe, and it's going to keep expanding hopefully, and I'm looking forward to it, especially if we have to wait. I don't know, I have no idea when Batman 2 is coming out at this point, but this is a much welcome kind of, to hold us over until then.
Right, yeah. And when shows are spun off from big productions, you see it with animated movies all the time that get spun off into a spin-off series. It just looks cheaper. It doesn't look like the same world that you experience on the big screen. But for this, I haven't noticed that much. I think the makeup for the character looks a little different, but that doesn't really bother me because at the end of the day, he still looks like the Penguin, where he's scarred up and he's overweight. He's got the double shins. It's the same prosthetics. It's the same team. And I think that they made it a bit more comfortable for Colin Farrell. So overall, that's been seamless.
Yeah, the only thing was, I think in the first episode, there's a shot of his purple Maserati, I think it is, and it didn't look real. Yeah,
No,
it didn't look
yeah.
great.
CGI Maserati.
You could figure, yeah. If only we can get our hands on one of those. But other than that, like you said, it did look great. The vibe of it, like that opening shot with the Batman theme and him looking out the window of Gotham, it just brought you right back in and made me want to rewatch Batman right away.
Yeah, and Colin Farrell as an actor has two amazing qualities where there's an inherent sweetness to him, but also a madness. And I think that's perfect for a character like Oz, who is so unappealing, but he brings so much humanity to the role because I think he truly enjoys being able to put on this suit and transform into somebody who is incredibly despicable, but as I said previously, very charming and loving, because he's got these relationships in his life where he genuinely cares about his mother. And it seems like he cares about Vic as well, even though he did try to shoot him after Vic was trying to break in and steal his car. And at times he gives him very, very tough love, but this seems like something that Vic wants. So he's playing the role of a villain, of mentor, of protagonist, of a son who's being sort of manipulated by his mom to take this power grab. There's a lot of layers that they've brought to this character that they didn't necessarily need in that first movie. He was such a big personality on screen, and he was so funny. They gave him a lot of the best lines that people really enjoyed him. But now, giving this character a bit more depth and having an actor with the talent of Colin Farrell play him, it's just the perfect recipe. And even hearing him talk about the show and some of the elements that he wished the show would have embraced more, he even said that, there's a scene they cut where it feels like Oz is finally embracing the name of Penguin, flipping it on its head. and using it as a moniker that people fear, and that's something he wanted more. I love when actors are able to just embrace the inherent silliness of a comic book adaptation, and I think that comes into play when you see them play the character. It just makes the performance even better. But like the addition of oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, in this setting too, I think Gotham and a lot of Batman stories are very much centered around these kind of organized crime aspects. And, you can only do so much in a lot of movies. And I think to kind of peel back the layers, like we recognize maybe some of the names if you've seen the Dark Knight trilogy with the Falcones and the Maronis and things like that. And obviously the bigger names with the Penguin and stuff like that. But just to get shedding light on some of the inner workings of some of these organizations. And I've always liked, with whether it be the Arkham video games or some of the Batman animated movies, that you can jump in at any movie and there's not really any setup. It could be its own thing. Like, these characters have been here. Like in the movies, you introduce this character, and then, episode Dark Knight, now you introduce the Joker. It just seems like everybody's been in this world for so long and lived here, and everybody kind of has a prior knowledge of everybody else.
Right.
And it makes it feel like, you can put on a new Batman movie can be released, and there's no prequel to that or part one of that, but you're just thrown into this world, and a lot of things are already established, but we already know because it's just such a popular property with Batman that, like, you don't really have to get into exposition where they don't have to rely on that to tell the story, because everyone's kind of got the gist already, and you could focus on other things and kind of start building that way, especially when it's movies, or if it's like movies or other franchises, then you kind of have to start from the ground up. But with having a prior knowledge and not having to focus so much on that, it makes the story they want to tell much easier and enjoyable. Like you said, tons of layers with the Penguin character, because you see him in so many different lights, kind of with a lot of the modern day anti-heroes, where there is, when you spend so much time with them, you see them in moments where they are supportive and they are helpful and are caring, but you also get all of the ugliness with it. And he can go from being such a scheming little weasel to, almost a father figure to Vic when he's not trying to kill him, which is nice. In his own little way, he's kind of sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, I feel like the Batman did a good job of that too, where it was Batman a year into already patrolling the streets. We didn't need to see him go through the whole origin. And they do a good job referencing the movie. You obviously, in the first scene, you have the little recap. It would definitely help if people have seen the movie, but I think they can watch this show and enjoy it without having seen it. But even when the detective is trying to get some drops, and the bartender says, "We're dry, take it up with the Riddler." And it's said so casually, and I'm like, man, it's just awesome that the Riddler already exists in this world, and he's sitting in Arkham, and everybody knows who he is, and he's known as the guy who terrorized the city and likes riddles, but not in a way. And I don't think comic book shows or movies have to do this, where they make such an effort where it doesn't come off as goofy. I think sometimes they can just be goofy because that's what it is, but it's cool when they're able to blend it and make it feel realistic. But going back to the character of Sophia Falcone, her presence has been so nerve-wracking, especially when it's the Penguin having to lie. And that's what's been those are the moments that I've liked so much about this show so far, is when she's breathing down his neck and he has to maintain his composure. I kept thinking, if that was me in that situation, as soon as I was pressed by her, I would have cracked, because she's got those eyes that pierce your soul. And she hasn't acted crazy, which is, I love that when everybody thinks you're crazy, but the character to us is normal, because it's like, who do I trust in this situation?
Yeah, well, like, two things about that. One, she does a great job of, and I think it's conveyed with Penguin as well, and that creates the uneasiness with him. It's like she'll say one thing, but her eyes are saying something completely different. Like, where she picks up on the bullshit right away. And two, she has like 9 bodies. She killed 9 people. I feel like everybody in that crew has killed 9 people. And everyone's like, she walks into the room and they're all like, oh my God, I can't believe they let her out. It's like everyone in that room is also a murderer. I guess we really don't know how she did it, or like it was 9 women, they said, but like, I don't know. She's probably like 9 seems a little low. Like when you compare her to everybody else in that room, like Gotham mob bosses.
Yeah, but she might just be killing for fun. Whereas Penguin, yeah, he's called bodies, but it was out of necessity. Like when he has to kill those 2 guys in episode 2, it's because Vic fucked up. He didn't want to kill them, but he had no choice in his eyes. They think that this woman was just out there killing for the love of the game.
Dude, I felt so bad for Penguin when Al just starts making fun of him. I was glad when he killed him. Like, yo, fuck this kid.
Yeah, that was only I felt like they could have
story too, and there's a lot of lessons there, you idiot.
Yeah. That's a fun thing about Penguin's character too, is he's always got a story to tell. He always relates it to something in his past, and that's such a common trait for mobsters. They're constantly living in their glory days or reminiscing on people that they idolized and what they're striving to be.
Well, yeah, that's like always if you look at, obviously with Goodfellas, the way a young Henry looks at, especially Jimmy when he first sees him and he's giving everybody the money, and then A Bronx Tale when C looks up like how he views it versus how his father does, and obviously when he grows up, he kind of gets the whole picture. So I feel like that's common in these type of movies to kind of look back on the days when it was so new and so exciting, and then once you're kind of in all the shit, you realize just this is fucking crazy. Just how bonkers this kind of life is, where you really can't trust anybody and you gotta always keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, and I remember watching an interview once with a real life mobster, and he was talking about how accurate The Sopranos was, and one of his complaints was that they hang out and lounge too much. That when you're in the mob, especially if you're a soldier and even a capo, you're constantly hustling. You're constantly looking for the next score to appease the person who's above you. And I think that's what this show has captured so well, is that it's nonstop. There's not a moment to kick back and to rest. And I think for a character like Vic, they always say crime is the easy way out. He's figured out that it's going to take a lot out of you, that it's not as simple as following orders, but it's also following through and having the balls, having the audacity to perform certain acts and some criminal acts and to dirty your soul a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's setting too. I mean, having like obviously Gotham in the first place, but also a post Riddler Gotham where you can elevate some of the things that might not work in a regular mob show, where you're basically having this all-out war in the streets with machine guns and all this, but it allows for that to happen and transpire without it being absurd or completely defying any logic. Even with year one Batman, where they might be on his radar, but I don't think they understand what the Batman is yet, because it is such a younger Batman and hasn't really been established for too long, where you expect them to be referencing or bringing up the Batman at all times. It's not like prime Batman and The Dark Knight, where they see the light in the sky and they're like, oh, not tonight,
Yeah.
Where his presence isn't fully felt all over the city of Gotham yet. He's not quite at that point.
It's cool too that he's now got the reputation of a hero. So even though he might not be in his prime, but he's been established. And as a Batman fan, I'm just a sucker for that shit. I'm watching this show and I'm like, yo, Batman's out there. He's probably doing something cool.
We're going to get more references, or even, I don't think we'll get a cameo, but I wonder how they're going to play that, because I think it's also, I get not wanting it to take away from your project by constantly referencing Batman or having his presence felt, but also I feel like sprinkled in now and then, like the way they have been doing it would be a good way to attack it. Where,
well, I'm interested because they say that the ending is going to lead into the Batman 2, and the Penguin was such a big part of the first movie, not the main villain, that was the Riddler. And I wonder if that's what they're positioning him to be, that he takes control of Gotham and he ends up being the main villain of the Batman 2, because they've also talked about Hush and Mr. Freeze. I don't think we'll see Batman. I definitely think we'll get some mentions, and I think it's a possibility that off screen some characters run into problems with him that impacts this narrative. But for the most part, I just don't think you need him.
I like the idea of some characters just being around.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Penguin isn't the main villain, but he's just always there throughout the entirety of the trilogy or whatever they decide to do. So that's another thing you kind of fall into with these trilogies or franchises is in the comics, they're just always around. There's always a presence or they break out or something like that. For a lot of times, it's like they get thrown in jail and that's all you ever really hear about them again.
Yeah, I want him to be like, I know Kingpin does go to jail, but Kingpin like in Daredevil, where season 3 he ends up being the main villain again, and he was the main villain to start with.
Right, and I did it a little bit with Scarecrow. He was throughout the Dark Knight trilogy, but and maybe they had other ideas when it came to Joker before Heath passed, but it's like for instance with the Riddler.
Yeah, no, he's still there. He could come back.
He's still there. He can come back, but if he never shows up or we never hear from him again in the trilogy, I just like having like the presence there or the idea that at any time there could be a run-in.
Yeah, Marvel would have killed them both off.
No, Marvel would have. Who's like they
would have spun off
C tier character from the Batman.
They would have spun off the guy with the really hoarse voice.
6 years later.
They would have done a series on the mayor. But also new characters. We got, I always love Michael Kelly. God, he was such a little freak in House of Cards, and he's so good at playing those roles as kind of the family consigliere. And then Clancy Brown as Maroni. Just an iconic voice, an iconic presence, really. That was a fun casting, and I really enjoyed Oz flipping the script on him at the end, where he frames him for killing Alberto. That's where the initial point I made about Oz actually being smart. It's not just how many people can I kill on the way to the top, but it's pitting these two sides together, knowing that Maroni's ego isn't going to be able to resist trying to take down the Falcons after what they did to him.
Well, yeah, it's always ever changing. His plan is always, it's not like just going smoothly throughout. Like every aspect or everything that he's set up he's had to adapt. And I think that's the lesson that he tries to teach Vic at the end of episode 2. It's like, shit happens, like you got to find a way. You got to make a way to make it work in your favor or you're dead.
Yeah, that shit is so funny, dude. Where he has a plan like, I've got the ear of the new Don. It's Falcone's cousin or whatever it was, or brother. He's a pushover. I'll be able to control him. And as soon as he realizes that he's not going to be able to do that, he's like, Sophia, it should be you in that room calling the shots. And I also laughed when Maroni was like, get your smug face out of here, because he is just such a... Colin Farrell's having the time of his life playing this character, because some of the faces he makes under the makeup are so smug and arrogant, and you just want to punch the guy in the face. But the way that he's able to flip on a dime, and like you said, he tells Vic the story about how he learned to drive in a weekend because that was the opportunity he was given. He epitomizes drove by the fork in the road and went straight. And I think Vic is... he's kind of the sidekick here. There's not much to that character other than just trying to learn the ropes and following around the Penguin. So I think that there's a lot of potential to give that character... It kind of reminds me of Rick and Morty, where Morty just started out as just Rick's sidekick, but then he really comes into his own and he starts to have opinions and beliefs about things and starts making decisions.
Oh, I don't know, Penguin. I don't think it's a good idea, Penguin. I don't do a good Morty, but something like that.
That's good enough. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of room for that character to grow. So we'll see how that progresses throughout, how that character progresses throughout the season.
How many people do you think now have Rick and Morty tattoos from like 5 years ago, and they're like, "Fuck, this didn't really last."
A few thousand.
So many Pickle Ricks. If I ever saw a Pickle Rick in the wild, I would fucking lose my shit. It would be the funniest. I think that would be the funniest thing I could ever see. Dude, that's the greatest meme ever. It's like, what is like explaining? It's like, and then you turn him to a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's well, let's not talk about Pickle Rick. Let's talk about some other.
Let's open it up.
I thought Shorey Aghdashloo as Maroni's wife, very interesting choice, but a choice that I welcome, because I think she's another character where just her speaking voice, she commands so much authority in any room, in any scene, across the table from any actor. And they mentioned it in the show recaps that she represents the Persian mafia. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. She even mentioned she's like Italians and Persians coming together. That's powerful. I'm like, yeah, sure. Fuck it. And I always love that dynamic too, where it's the hardened mob boss, but the brains of the operation is the woman behind him. So she seems to be the one who has the Penguin more figured out, but still wants to use him. She has the one line that he's a dog, but dogs could be submissive. So there's a lot of enemies surrounding the Penguin, but they all need something from each other. They all obviously has a valuable roles to play, regardless of who you're rooting for. So it's just been fun dynamics all around so far.
What's like the craziest? Because I love hearing like new mobs that are not like Italian or Russian. Like, you know, in like the Irishman when they reference the Jewish mob.
Right.
What's like the most, like, if you heard like the Scandinavian mobs on this one? Like, what would be one you're like, what? I didn't know they had one of those. That's neat.
Dude, the fucking, like, if they were like the Antarctic mob.
The Antarctic mob. That would be fucking terrifying. I would not want to fuck with them.
Who the fuck is mobbed up in Antarctica?
Yeah.
You gotta be a strong motherfucker. It's a bunch of gangster ass penguins and polar bears.
Well, the penguin. There we go.
Oh my god.
Have you been put on the Pesto yet? Pesto the penguin?
Yeah, I know Pesto.
Yeah.
They're saying he's the new Mudang.
They should fight to the death.
What is this, Pokemon?
Pretty much.
Yeah, dude, two cute animals that everybody loves. All right, now kill each other. Yeah, I think both endings for both episodes have been strong. Yeah, episode 1, I just really enjoyed the reveal of the body and Penguin giving him the ring. Found it to be very clever. And then the episode of episode 2, when Sophia and the Penguin decide to team up, and also all the chaos of Oz having to think on his feet when it comes to Irvad being kidnapped and not wanting to have the game given away. That was really strong. Both episodes have really, really strong endings.
Why did he? So he was going to plant the knife on Vidi, but then he didn't. Or he was trying to set up Vidi as the killer, but he didn't. He planted it on Sophia's henchman.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess maybe
kind of just to diminish her circle so he can slide in.
Yeah, I think it was just also maybe less believable that Vidi would get his hands dirty in that way.
True.
Because Vidi's Michael Kelly, right?
Yeah.
So they were going for the big frame of like, oh no, Vidi was behind the Alberto murder. Maybe he was just a bad sleight of hand there by Penguin. Because I thought that's what he was trying to do, that he was trying to put the knife in Vidi's pocket. And when they didn't find it on Vidi, I was like, oh shit. God, I always hate that, man. That's my biggest fear, of being framed for something I know I didn't do. I was loyal.
No, it's tough.
All right, you want to take some old questions?
Sure. I love a good old question.
This question here from Overnight Doorman. Joker 2, biggest flop since The Flash? Yeah, Joker 2 is getting mixed reviews. I think it's sitting at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes currently, and coming out of one of the festivals. I think it was Cannes, or I don't know if it screened at Cannes. I'm not sure where it screened, but people weren't liking it when they saw it.
Well, I mean, I think it's still going to do pretty well financially. Maybe not to the extent of the first one. So maybe not a flop in that sense, but as far as a sequel of a hyped movie, it's looking that way. I hate when people get pre-med on the internet, like when the first reviews were not so great and people are like, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But those people didn't see the movie. That's always funny.
For what I'm hearing about it is that it's going to piss off people who liked the first movie, and also going to piss off people who hate the first movie. In a way, that's kind of impressive.
Yeah.
And really, I've just heard that it's boring.
I'm trying to think of a way they could do that, where they piss off people who hated it and piss off people who liked it.
I guess without getting into spoilers, people have been saying that the movie looks back on the first one and condemns a lot of the takeaways people had. And also,
so like Joker's a bad guy.
Yeah, and other ways of some of the political commentary that people took away from it, because it was sort of vague, where you can kind of just apply anything you believed to it, and that also it's just way less entertaining than the first one in terms of the actual Joker doing Joker stuff. So that people who didn't really enjoy the first one aren't. There's not going to be much to find to enjoy in this one either, or less. I kind of want, because Nash famously hates the first Joker movie. I kind of want to get him to watch it just to see how much he would hate this one.
What if he loves
He would be
it?
the one dickhead, yeah, that would like this one more. And I've also heard that they just waste Lady Gaga, that the musical numbers aren't very memorable.
That's a shame.
She looks so good as that character, man. I saw her big poster in Times Square. I'm like, God, you're hot. Talk about aura. This question here from Matt_Sampson. I mean, just one last thing. $190 million budget. I don't know how much of it. I think it will definitely break even without a doubt. But
for sure.
It's not touching
I think
a
it
billion.
makes 500 at the least.
I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna say it goes like 370.
Want to bet?
No.
Yeah.
No, because there's nothing I don't. Because when you bet, you always want to bet something that you kind of want to do, but you're a little shy about it.
What do you want to do?
That's the thing. I really don't have anything.
Tattoo?
Oh, I'll smoke weed. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want a tattoo.
What do you do? Gotta get the damaged Jared Leto tattoo across your forehead?
I would want a fully fleshed out sleeve, but I don't want to do that because it just takes forever and it's very expensive. If I could just snap my fingers like VC and 2K, I would have a sleeve, 100%.
Well, I was looking up like tattoos. So I am gonna get one eventually, but I was looking up like Twin Peaks cool like designs, and you can Google it now. The Black Lodge symbol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird symbol.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then I'm like, what does that remind me of? Like, it's cool. Like, I'm like, oh, like something like subtle, but like cool looking that is a reference to Twin Peaks. And I'm like, that might be it. Maybe I can get like some of like the red from the Red Room and stuff. And I'm like, what does this look like to me? I'm like, oh no, I can't get that. Fucking Hitler, man. Ruined fucking everything.
I know, dude. Especially because it's like designs that come from Native American culture.
But it's not even like, so at first it looks like 3 little mountain ranges with the diamonds, but then it's like that, just that square tilted on its side. You're like, uh-oh.
No, if it can be interpreted as something, yeah, you want to avoid anything that could be mistaken for Nazi paraphernalia.
Yeah, no, that's
usually one of my tenets of my life and how I live. Never be confused as a Nazi.
You kind of flip it upside down. I don't know. I'll think of something else.
This one here from Matt Sampson. Are you guys getting major Sopranos vibes from this show? I think the major difference is what I mentioned, is that this is a bit more serious, which is funny, being that it's a comic book show, but there's less chilling and relaxing. You know, a lot of time, the best episodes of The Sopranos is when they're all just kind of shooting the shit, or the best scenes. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, because when we think of, especially in the television world, like I said before, it kind of seems like you could fit in with that crew a little bit.
Oh, dude, when I rewatched The Batman and Bruce Wayne goes to confront Falcone about what his father did, and as soon as he walks in the room, the Penguin's like, "Hey, Johnny Slick." And it's just, he's met him once and he's already Johnny Slick. Yeah. Like they're buddies that go all the way back. And the Batman just like, Bruce Wayne just like looks at him like, what the fuck? How awkward Batman in that movie is so funny, dude. He's just like so lost when it comes to social cues with his relationship with Catwoman. Oh, that's another funny thing I wanted to mention. It's hilarious how Sophia and Selena Kyle are siblings.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fun little detail. But yeah, you know, Soprano influence is on a lot of shows, but this one especially. This question here from Cora. If you guys took the substance, who would be the sexier, younger, better version of all of you? Or if you guys were the other self, who would be the older, less sexy version? I like that idea that I'm in my prime enough to be the younger, sexy version of Bryan Cranston, I guess, at this point. I feel like I could be young Bryan Cranston. Or young Mark Strong.
Like, we know what young Bryan Cranston looks like.
Yeah, but, you know, we knew young Demi Moore.
That's true. Who would be, like...
But who would be the younger me? I feel like we're at an age...
mid-20s, yeah.
We're not old enough yet.
Who's on top right now? Who's the guy?
Who's the guy? Austin Butler?
I feel like I'm like the same age as him, though.
Yeah, no, probably. He might be older.
Yeah, just take the substance and I'm just Austin Butler now. That would be kind of sick.
You take the substance and your better version of you is someone who's older. That would be devastating.
Yeah, now you're just like, who's like Oscar Isaac? That'd be actually, I would take that too. It's like, oh, you're 45, but like you're also Oscar Isaac. Oh, all right, I can make this work.
I feel like you could be the perfect self for like Cliff Curtis. You know Cliff Curtis?
Who's Cliff Curtis?
I feel like you could be a younger, better version of Cliff Curtis. Great character actor. He was recently in Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me. I'll be Patrick Stewart's younger version. Trying to think of older. I was saying Mark Strong, you know. Although Mark Strong is a sexy older man. That's the thing. I can't put myself in the sexy younger version with these other sexy older men. It's crazy. They'd be like, I want a fucking refund, and I'd be like, oh, I feel bad. I'm supposed to be the better version.
If someone took the substance and I came out, I would be fucking pissed.
This is fucking disgusting. What is this?
I want my money back.
And then all of a sudden I start juggling, and they're like, wait a minute. I could never juggle. I'm like, yeah. You didn't know that. You didn't know I could juggle, right? This question here from T. Who would you guys cast? I feel like we've answered this before, but it's always fun to see if there's a new person in mind. Who would you cast for Aegon the Conqueror series? You're still who's your go-to? It's still Skarsgård, right?
Yeah, I think it was like Skarsgård, Vanessa Kirby, and like...
Oh, damn. I forgot about that. Vanessa Kirby is Visenya?
Who was the other one?
Who's the other sister wife?
I think it was like an older, if we aged him up, I think it was Rosamund Pike. But I don't know how that all fits, but I had the vision.
Yeah, I think if they are going to do...
You should really pick just 3 blonde, beautiful people. And
yeah. I think unknown would be the best. Make somebody famous. Because I want them to make them age appropriate. Because so many fucking adaptations do this, where they're just like, it was like Killers of the Flower Moon, where Leo's character is supposed to be a young man. And I understand it's Leo, it's Scorsese, they're a dynamic duo, and you want the star power, but could have got Austin Butler.
Yeah.
And the movie still would have made no money.
Does Aegon's age play into effect?
I don't think it does, but it's just like the way he's written, it would be cool to just actually see like a 28-year-old or Henry Cavill. Just for Cavill's sake, you know, because he's always getting screwed over.
Well, yeah, everyone says Cavill for young Robert, but his age now is old Robert.
Oh, yeah. No, see, that would piss me off so much, dude. If they did Robert's Rebellion and they casted like a bunch of 30-year-olds. Even Game of Thrones, Ned isn't supposed to be as old as Sean Bean. I don't mind it because it's just whatever.
Daenerys is 13, so Rob and John are like boys.
That's fine. That totally makes sense. It's like Paul Atreides. If you want to age him up from, 16, 17 to early 20s, I have no problem with that. And same thing with the Game of Thrones children. But then it makes it doesn't matter in the long run. But then I start thinking of the timelines. I'm like, these timelines don't make sense because of all the lore, all the history, you know?
I just want to have a good time, you know?
Oh my God, you fucking complained about every goddamn change they made for years. Now you're all about a good time because you want Skarsgård as Aegon the Conqueror. I see your game, and I appreciate it because I want Vanessa Kirby as Visenya. Okay, we'll take a few more questions. This one here from Henry, a DC question. Which character in the DC universe do you most want to see that hasn't been announced by James Gunn?
What was that?
Which character would you like to see in James Gunn's DC universe that hasn't been announced yet?
Zachary Levi Shazam.
Yo, that's a fucking terrible casting. I don't think that would work. I think that would derail his career to where he would have to get into some really weird spaces politically. Start questioning Big Pharma.
Yeah.
No, dude. Joker, Jared Leto. That could be fun, right? He's a weird guy.
All these Hal Jordan casting rumors, why are they going with the old Hal Jordan?
Yeah, right. They offered it to Josh Brolin. He said no.
That makes no fucking sense.
Oh, I thought we were just trying to have a good time. What do you care?
Hal Jordan's supposed to be fun.
Dude, I mean, what are they waiting for? Chris Pine.
He's too old.
No, too old for Hal? I guess he was already Steve Trevor, right? Chris Pine's a young, spry, 44-year-old man. He's got a mystery girlfriend and on vacation in Italy. Harry Styles?
Austin Butler, Hal Jordan.
No, don't do that to the butt man.
Green Lantern doesn't get any respect, and
I want to keep all the
I don't
kids,
like
all the budding stars, keep them away from the superhero shit. No Chalamet, no Butler, no Alardi. That's his name, right? Alardi.
I think it's Lordy, but
Keep them away.
Jacob Elordi, Hal Jordan. You don't want that?
Glenn Powell, Hal Jordan? No, I don't want him in the DC either. He's also too. I don't think he's got that look. He's sort of like Leo in a superhero movie. He's just too good for it. No, there were even rumors that they were trying to convince Tom Cruise or John Boyega. Go Jon Stewart, man.
Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner. Do old Guy Gardner. That's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool with that. No one gives a shit about him.
Yeah, get Robert Downey Jr.
Who's like a hero we haven't really seen too much of?
I mean,
we got a
my
little
guy
bit
Martian.
of Black Canary, but like low key, like a very big comic book character that they just never
That's
put in
Marvel.
the main role. What?
No, bad joke. Yeah, no, Black Canary. I would love to see Black Canary on the big screen. I mean, we saw Martian Manhunter in the end of the Snyder Cut, which was so funny. But I love that guy. I love Captain Atom too. I know we saw what's his face, Brandon Routh, play him in the CW shows. I mean, shit, dude. I just want fucking Justice League to be good. I just want a Watchtower. Really, if you ask me what most do I want to see on screen for a DC movie, it's a fucking floating Watchtower.
I want to. What was the thing in the water? Meanwhile, what did they call it?
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the
That
Legion
was
of
the
Doom.
best.
Not
yeah,
now.
they were just underwater.
It's not the Legion of Doom. It's the Legion of Boom. And it's just Big Justice and AJ.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fucking. I love that.
The Rizzler as the main fucking villain for the Justice League.
Rizzle me this. I made a Photoshop. It's an American flag with Mudang, Pesto, and AJ and Big Justice.
Is it a Kang Photoshop?
No, they're just behind an American flag. So I saw like somebody tweeted, it's like we're witnessing the formation of the modern day founding fathers. I guess referencing Trump and Elon and stuff like that. And I'm like, but they didn't name them. It's like, you said we're witnessing the modern day founding fathers. I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
Oh my God, you should have posted that.
Mudang, Pesto, and AJ and Big Justice.
Dude, it's so funny because all of those names you just mentioned in like 3 years, we're going to think back on them and get so much nostalgia for 2024. It's going to be a where are they now? Mudang's going to be a drug addict and shit. Rizzler's crashing out, dancing with the stars.
I do wonder, because it's a different type of celebrity now with the internet personalities. It's not like your child star gone, like, because they're just always going to be on the internet now. From the moment from now until Rizzler is like 80, he's just going to be online.
Right, but what happens to his mental health when he outgrows the cute chubby look and he just becomes like a basic looking 6-foot man?
Well, what if he's like the fat kid from It?
That could be fun. No, I hope for his own sake that he's able to maintain some relevancy. Because can you imagine being that famous and popular at 8? Like, you're in 3rd grade. Imagine just being like classmates with the Rizzler. You walk in class and one of your classmates is super famous.
3rd grade? I mean, that's when 9/11 happened.
Dude, holy shit, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everyone was just getting picked up from their school.
Dude, it was shocking because I knew that there was a lot of tension between the two sides, but for Jay-Z to say Nas's name on a track and then have all of our parents pick us up from school, like, oh my God, the kids can't be in school. He name dropped Nas.
It was so funny that happening at that age. It is funny thinking back on it, just like everyone picking up the school, like the next target's going to be Daniel Street.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, we better get them out. We got to get them home safe. That was like on their big board of Al Qaeda. Just being like, all right, well, if that doesn't work out, or if we run into any snags, we're gonna get this random elementary school on Long Island.
Bro, that was like Eminem on Patiently Waiting when he was like, Shady Records was only 10 minutes from the towers. Those cowards hit the wrong building. They meant to hit ours.
Dude, everybody was like,
I think it's a psychological thing.
It's like, I was supposed to go into work that day. Not that many people work in the city.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people do, but like everybody was late for work today or missed that train to go in, and they all conveniently worked like within a 4-block radius of 9/11.
Well, that was a Tuesday, right? I'm sure it felt like a Friday.
I just didn't know. Like I went home and like heard about it. Like my mom was telling me about it. I'm like, all right, it's crazy. I'm gonna go play PlayStation.
Oh yeah. No, are you kidding me? It was well, I was the last one picked up from my elementary school, dude.
I didn't get picked up.
Oh, you didn't get oh wow.
No, they didn't give a shit.
They're like, no, you can handle this. They thought you were Mark Wahlberg and shit. You could stop it.
I'm gonna put that into my routine. Y'all remember 9/11?
Yeah. Why are you from Austin, Texas all of a sudden?
Dude, that's the comedic epicenter now. Gotta fit
Oh
in.
yeah, it is. Yeah. And the tech epicenter.
Go on Rogan. Really slingshot my stand-up career.
Yo, the way you texted me the other day, I thought you had some news like that. You were like, you're not going to fucking believe this. I'm like, oh, he met like the CEO of Netflix or he hit the lottery. I don't know.
Nah, that put you on to Rizzler's verse on the Bring the Boom remix.
I couldn't even, because I got so excited from that first message, I couldn't even play into it. Like, oh, I thought this was going to be something good and ended up being amazing. I was just pissed.
Well, it was like, I don't know. I think you would have enjoyed his verse. I hope they do it like, you know, Old Town Road. Old Town Road got like 17 remixes.
Yeah.
You know that's coming with Bring the Boom.
It's The Rock.
You hear the lighter flick. You know, Weezy had to get on this banger.
Mixtape Wheezy, because it's the best verse he's had since the Undisputed theme song.
Or like Touch It remixes with Busta Rhymes. He had like 7.
Yeah, Papoose had the best verse though.
I like Lloyd Banks. He had a great G unit on that too.
I love Lloyd Banks. He's been putting out good music over the last few years.
Busta Rhymes did the Touch It remix today with Mary J. Blige, Ra, and Missy Elliott. Everyone would say he went woke. The all-female, the female reboot of the Touch It remix.
Busta Rhymes hates men. He's promoting.
Oh,
women.
What is this? Oh, come on, Bus.
Bus, not you.
Mary's verse kind of goes hard too.
Yo, don't sleep on Mary J. Last question here from Josh. What made Ruben rate Batman higher on his rewatch? Love to see it, by the way. Yeah, it's just an awesome movie. I just thought, you know what, let me give it this extra half star. Not quite a 5-star for me. Did you give Batman 5 stars?
I think I gave it 4.5.
Okay, yeah. That's where I am right now.
I don't know if I was boxing in those days, though.
Yeah, I feel like I could watch the Batman right now. Just talking about the Penguin makes me want to rewatch the Batman again, even though I just rewatched it.
Oh, that reminds me. I forgot to log Along Came Polly. We'll do that right now. Guess what's its Letterboxd rating?
I'm going to say 3.5.
We were talking about 2.8. You know that on
rewatch I
too.
thought for you.
Oh no. Upon rewatch, I'm like, this kind of sucks.
Oh wow,
Not
interesting.
gonna lie. I forgot about what's his name, Hank Azaria, fucking Ben Stiller's wife.
Oh,
but Philip Seymour Hoffman's the only good part of that movie. Why did we think Ben Stiller was so fucking funny? He was the guy.
He was the man. He ran comedy for like a good 10-year run, right?
But he always does like these weird faces.
Well, I like Ben Stiller because he's a diehard Knicks fan, but yeah, definitely an interesting guy to become so famous for a period of time. Where he's like the leading man. He's funny in the Royal Tenenbaums. He thought he had something with The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. He's like, I just made Forrest Gump, but in the multiverse and shit.
Multiversal Forrest Gump.
I mean, Forrest Gump kind of is multiversal in a way. Putting motherfuckers on paths.
Kind of transcends.
It's our anchor being.
Time and space, really.
All right, guys, we're going to stop it there. Thank you so much for listening to our review of The Penguin episodes 1 and 2. We will probably come back at the end of the season or maybe, midway and talk about the show again. And yeah, Aaron, thank you for joining me. Make sure you at home like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. Be like, oh, the Nerd Soup Boys, they're reviewing The Penguin. And they'll be like, what's The Penguin? They'll be like, well, it's spun off from The Batman. What's The Batman? Well, it came out 2 years ago. Ben Affleck? No, Robert God damn it.
Yeah, come see me. I'll be at the stands. I'll be at the stand next weekend. Debuting my comedy set.
Is that in London?
No, it's in the city.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no. Like I'm going to make one of those fucking guards laugh so hard. I can already tell. And I already know I'm just going to be saying oi. And it's going to be so embarrassing. But I'm going to do it because...
Yeah, make sure you take pictures of your British breakfast because I'd like to see what they serve you.
I was thinking of just doing a bean check every morning. My breakfast beans. And I fucking hate beans, but I'm gonna have to get the British beans.
Yeah, you got it. You can't go to London and not get the beans.
Just instead of like pictures of Big Ben and fucking Tower Bridge and all that stuff, it's just beans.
Yeah, it's just a whole reel on Instagram of all the beans that you've eaten. All right, guys, we'll see you very soon.
Peace.